So let's talk about the hotel first, what we thought of the new location. Adam, since you are most close to the people who are preparing the con, I think you should probably go first. So.
Okay. Frankly, the amount of space we had at the hotel this year is less than we have had in previous years, simply by virtue of the fact that we were up against other events that were going on in the hotel that weekend. So in order to maintain the dates that our attendees are most familiar with, we pretty much had to take what was available. This unfortunately led to a smaller main events room, panels the same size, and in some cases a little bit smaller than the ones we had been used to at the Hyatt in previous years. In general, the hotel staff we had certain issues with. Many of them, especially certain members of hotel security, were unfamiliar with exactly what they were getting into with our show. And as a result, were a little bit more abrasive and standoffish than they should have been. We have already been in discussions with the hotel to prevent this situation from happening next year, because I know a number of attendees had also expressed concern and, in certain cases, upsetment with the hotel staff. Also, attendees found the hotel to be a little bit labyrinth-like. And yes, it is a tremendous amount of space in this hotel, and the layout is very unusual if you've never been at the hotel before. However, if you take a look at it, when Katsucon first went to the Omni, attendees had the exact same problem, because there were hallways on both sides of the hotel that were mirror images of each other with the exact same furniture on both sides. So pretty much if you were walking in one direction, it looked the same as if you were walking in the other direction. So, I mean, the attendees have had a year to get used to the hotel, and even though we're going to be changing some of the space we have been using and getting substantially bigger next year, they'll be more familiar with it and they won't get lost quite as quickly.
I liked it. I mean, I actually did like having the other conventions going on there, because I thought it was a study in contrast having, the National Association of CPAs around. I thought they were good for lols.
It's funny, the CPA guys didn't like us as much as the bankers did. The bankers loved us. That was starting on today.
And see, that's the interesting thing. Like, I never would have thought to think of bankers as being particularly more accepting than CPAs. But now we know something about the financial industry that we otherwise would not have.
It's funny because we were walking down the hallways when we were bringing our stuff out to our cars on Monday. We were looking at some of the panels that they were running. Panels regarding...
I saw a lot of them.
Regarding money laundering and, and computer defenses and things like that. I looked at some of these rooms like, wow, I should have signed up for this con. It seems interesting.
I know, it seems like total geek stuff. Like, I don't know why these guys weren't just, coming in and joining us.
Yeah, really.
That would be the weirdest cross-promotion ever. My thoughts, I actually really like the new area. It's really nice. It's really swanky. It almost makes me feel guilty for how swanky it is. I'm like, we're an anime con. We don't deserve this. But one thing that I actually felt that it was lacking that I hope can come back next year, which was an artifact of Crystal City and the hotel that came before it. In the hallways, you would set up tables, and they were sort of a necessity back in Crystal City and the hotel before it, so that people would have time and space to play games and stuff. But here we didn't have that, partially because we have the space to have a dedicated card gaming room.
We had the table and card gaming room, which was vast in comparison to previous years. That was designed for just such a purpose.
Yeah, and the card gaming room was great, but interestingly enough, tables in the hallway actually increase the amount of social interaction. And I don't know if you could do the same thing, like just putting table space in the hallway for people to sit down and chill and do stuff. But making the hallways, especially because the hallways are so much bigger, a congregation area, was one of the things that made Anime USA, one of the most charming cons I've been to. It made your travel the same as your destination. It was always an experience.
Something to think about for next year. I'll pass it along to the con chair, and maybe we can work on some ideas on how to do that.
Yeah, but otherwise, I really like the new space. Good things are going to be done with it. I could tell that like right now. It's only going to get better, and I kind of wish that I had more time to sort of soak it all in. I didn't, because we did a ludicrous amount of programming.
Yeah.
Spoiler was supposed to be an hour and a half this year. And we were given a 3-hour slot, even though, you know, we had said we can only do an hour and a half this year. And we were scheduled right across from Anime Parliament 18+, which was rather dumb. Blame Hurricane Sandy, because, you know, none of us were able to be in touch with, like, programming during that time, but it's about as dumb as you could imagine a programming setup to be. We, you know, I emailed Frank, the guy in charge of programming, and the whole programming department, and I thought I had it figured out. They said, "Do you want to go on at 10 or 8:30?" And I said, 8:30, if and only if you can update the guide so that it reflects that. And they said, okay. So we went, you know, we went to Anime USA, and the guide said we were on at 10. And the guidebook, which, you know, awesome using guidebook this year, but definitely keep it updated more. And the guidebook, the smartphone app, also said we were on at 10. So everything that anyone could have said we were on at 10. But in reality, we were on at 8:30.
And I have a question. Quick question: When was this guidebook available?
Like the day before.
Yeah, Thursday night.
But in reality being used in heavy fucking quotes here, we were on at 8:30, and the only thing that said we were on at 8:30 was the sign outside the room, which I guarantee you is the thing that people check the least.
So we had maybe, like 6 people?
Yeah, no,
like 6 people who all appeared to be together in one group?
Yeah, and
Yep.
I'm actually kind of glad that this happened, because it's now we have empirical evidence, you know, that last minute sign changing crazy BS doesn't actually work, because when 8:30 came around, there were like 6 people in the room, and Spoiler has never had like 6 people in the room. And then when 10 rolled around, the room was filled to capacity and we were breaking fire code. So, that is just a thing that cannot be done. You cannot change things so last minute like that. Adam, you know, I know maybe you can, you know, bust some heads for us, but the programming schedule needs to be out like a week earlier. Like, not even much earlier, but like a week earlier. But actually, when I looked over programming and I saw all of the awesome things from, you know, there was a religion panel, there was like mythology panels, there was, you know, panels on particular fandoms such as My Little Pony and Homestuck. Although
there were several panels on those.
Yeah, for reals though, 4 Homestuck panels is a little much.
That is never going to happen again. Here's the thing: anime panels were dropped in favor of Homestuck.
Why?
I heard about that after the con.
Well, there's a very obvious reason.
Why?
Judging by cosplay, judging by how many people cosplay, the 3 most popular anime right now are My Little Pony, Homestuck, and Adventure Time.